FBI Director Wray, Chinese espionage, most significant threat facing U.S. By Christina Layla for thegatewaypundit.com. On Wednesday, FBI Director Christopher Wray said China, not Russia, is the most significant long-term threat facing the U.S. today. Wray sat down for an interview with NBC's Lester Holt at the Aspen Security Forum Wednesday to discuss many different spy threats facing the U.S. The Democrat media complex is obsessed with Russia. However, Wray clearly states the FBI has economic espionage cases open in all 50 states that trace back to China. It covers everything from corn seeds in Iowa to wind turbines in Massachusetts and everything in between, Wray said, of China's espionage efforts. Of course, Lester Holt wanted to desperately bring the conversation back to Russia and brought up election meddling again. Christopher Wray did acknowledge Russia's efforts to influence the public opinion and politics in the U.S. However, he said not to underestimate China's ultimate goal, which is to position itself as the sole dominant superpower. They're trying to replace the United States in that role. I think China, from a counterintelligence perspective, represents in many ways, represents the broadest, most challenging, most significant threat we face as a country, Wray said. Let's take a listen instead of me repeating it.
There's been a lot of talk about Russia for obvious reasons, but I do want to talk about China. Do you, from your perspective and the things that you're looking at, do you see China as an adversary, and if so, on what levels?
Well, I think China, from a counterintelligence perspective, in many ways represents the broadest, most challenging, most significant threat we face as a country. And I say that because for them, it is a whole of state effort. It is economic espionage as well as traditional espionage. It is non-traditional collectors as well as traditional intelligence operatives. It's human sources as well as cyber means. We have economic espionage investigations in every state, all 50 states, that trace back to China. It covers everything from corn seeds in Iowa to wind turbines in Massachusetts, and everything in between. And so the volume of it, the pervasiveness of it, the significance of it is something that I think this country cannot underestimate.
Are they going after things, though, differently than, for example, what you've been seeing with the Russians and our democratic process?
It's a different kind of threat. Obviously, the Russia threat is a significant one that I think we need to deal with very aggressively indeed. But I think the China threat, China is trying to position itself as the sole dominant superpower, the sole dominant economic power. They're trying to replace the United States in that role. And so theirs is a long-term game that is focused on, as I said, just about every industry, every quarter of society in many ways. It involves academia, it involves research and development. It involves everything from agriculture to high tech. And so theirs is as I said, a more pervasive, a broader approach, but in many ways more of a long-term threat to the country.
You clearly see it as a major threat, but do you have a sense that we don't, that not enough attention is paid to it in general?
One of the bright spots that I have observed in my first 10 plus months on the job is on this issue. In that, it's one of the few things I've seen that in a country where sometimes it feels like people can't even agree what day of the week it is, on this, I think people are starting to come together. I see it in the interagency. I see it up on the Hill when I'm talking to the intelligence committees across the spectrum. So I think people are starting to wake up and kind of rub the cobwebs or the sleep out of their eyes.
Based on everything that's, and I'm talking about in the public realm, that we know about the Mueller investigation, the indictments that exist, is there anything that would allow it to be called a witch hunt?
I've been consistent. I get asked this a lot. I do not believe Special Counsel Mueller is on a witch hunt. I think it's a professional
What a
investigation
sellout.
conducted by a man that I've known to be a straight shooter in all my interactions with him in my past life in government and certainly since then. So I don't think it's a witch hunt.
Do you think?
That's all we need to hear. Well, the main reason why we have never seen actual evidence of Russians hacking into Democrat computer networks is because the reports would also reveal China to be one of the aggressors. That's what Louis Gohmert was questioning that other lady the other day. And they refused to bring up China, and Gohmert was, hammering her. And still, this was with the Facebook and whatnot. And she would not say, and Gohmert called her out and said, why are you refusing to name China? Because they want the Russian narrative. They don't want this to be really the main issue. So, would also reveal China to be one of the aggressors. The fact that China is spying with such aggressive techniques obliterates the entire Russia hacking narrative spun by Dems and their media sycophants, and I might put Christopher Wray in that category, and Robert Mueller. About Bill Clinton, betrayal, treason, and China. Betrayal, Paul Sperry here. Treason, where was the White House press corps when Clinton traded our missile technology and nuclear weapons lab secrets for campaign cash from Beijing bagmen? Clinton kicked me out of White House for daring to ask him about that scandal. Isn't that nice? Hashtag Chinagate, while Washington Post called me impertinent. Well, there you have it. So what does that tell you? Criminals in charge. That's why it runs deep, and they've been selling us out all the time, basically. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.